The fluorescent lights of the 24-hour diner buzzed softly against the silence of 2 a.m., casting long shadows across chipped vinyl booths and half-empty coffee cups. Outside, rain streaked down the windows like quiet tears. Inside, a single father in a worn police uniform sat slumped over a plate of untouched pancakes, exhaustion etched into every line of his face. Across from him, 3 identical little girls with golden curls and sleepy eyes tried their best to stay awake, their tiny hands wrapped around warm mugs of milk. And just a few feet away, standing near the counter in a crimson dress that looked wildly out of place in a roadside diner, a billionaire heiress froze mid-step as she watched the scene unfold. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet miracles that happen when strangers care, take a moment to like this video, comment where you're watching from, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that even in the darkest hours, something beautiful can happen. Officer Daniel Hayes had not planned to be in that diner at 2 a.m. He had not planned for his life to unravel the way it did. Just 8 months earlier, he had buried his wife after a sudden illness that no one saw coming. One day she was laughing in their kitchen while braiding their daughter's hair, and the next he was standing beside a hospital bed trying to memorize the sound of her breathing. Since then, sleep had become a stranger. So had peace. Raising triplets alone would test anyone, but doing it while working double shifts as a patrol officer pushed Daniel beyond his limits. Babysitters were expensive. Family lived states away. Pride kept him from asking for help. That night, his usual sitter had canceled at the last minute, and he had just finished a grueling shift that left him physically drained and emotionally hollow. The girls had woken up hungry, whispering that they missed their mom and couldn't sleep. So he bundled them into the car and drove to the only place still open, the diner on the edge of town. He tried to smile as he cut their pancakes into tiny squares, but his hands trembled from fatigue. His patrol badge caught the light as he leaned his head into his palm for just a second, closing his eyes longer than he meant to. He felt like he was failing them. The house felt empty. The bills kept piling up. His grief was a constant weight pressing against his ribs. He wondered how much longer he could keep pretending to be strong. That was when Charlotte Whitmore noticed him. Charlotte was known in society pages as the youngest heiress to inherit the Whitmore real estate empire. Her late father had built luxury towers across major cities, and after his passing, she had become the face of the company. Headlines described her as polished, brilliant, untouchable. But that night, she wasn't attending a gala or signing contracts. She had slipped away from a charity event because the noise and glitter made her feel unbearably alone. She often drove at night when she couldn't sleep, searching for something that felt real. When she stepped into the diner to escape the rain, she never expected to find it. She watched the exhausted father adjust one little girl's blanket while the other 2 leaned against his shoulders. She saw the way he whispered something gentle, even as his own eyes brimmed with unshed tears. She noticed that he didn't eat a single bite of his own food, making sure every last piece went to his daughters. It wasn't grand or dramatic. It was raw and painfully human. Charlotte felt something shift inside her. She had grown up with wealth, but not warmth. Boarding schools, formal dinners, strategic friendships. After losing her father, she understood a fragment of the grief sitting across that diner booth. But what struck her most was the quiet dignity in Daniel's posture. He wasn't asking for help. He wasn't complaining. He was simply surviving for the sake of his children. When Daniel finally asked for the check, he hesitated before opening his wallet. Charlotte noticed the flicker of calculation in his eyes as he counted folded bills twice. She turned away for a moment, wrestling with herself. She could have simply paid anonymously and walked out. That would have been easy. But something told her that this man didn't just need a paid meal. He needed relief. He needed someone to see him. So she did something no one expected. Before Daniel could reach the counter, the waitress gently told him his bill had already been handled. Confusion washed over his face. He looked around until his eyes met Charlotte's. She didn't offer pity. She offered a small, understanding nod. In that instant, he felt something he hadn't felt in months. Acknowledgement. But Charlotte didn't stop there. The next morning, Daniel received a call from his police department's administrative office. A significant donation had been made in his late wife's name to establish a child care support fund for officers raising children alone. The fund would cover after-school care, emergency babysitting, and even counseling services. No publicity, no press release, just a quiet act of compassion. Daniel later discovered the donor was Charlotte Whitmore. He was stunned. Pride battled gratitude, but when he looked at his daughters laughing freely for the first time in weeks, pride lost. He wrote her a letter, not to thank her for the money, but to thank her for reminding him that he wasn't invisible. Over the following months, something remarkable happened. The fund expanded. Other business owners contributed. The diner owner offered free meals once a week to first responders' families. A small act at 2 a.m. had rippled outward into a community movement. Daniel began sleeping again. The girls started therapy and slowly spoke about their mother without breaking down. Their home, once heavy with silence, filled with cautious laughter. And Charlotte, who had felt adrift in her own fortune, discovered a purpose far richer than any inheritance. She began investing not just in buildings, but in people. If this story has touched your heart so far, take a moment right now to comment the word kindness below. Let's fill the comments with a reminder that small acts can change entire lives. Months later, on another quiet evening, Daniel brought his daughters back to that same diner, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. They sat in the same booth, this time smiling. As the girls giggled over milkshakes, Daniel noticed Charlotte seated alone again near the window. This time he walked over with steady steps. He didn't see a billionaire heiress anymore. He saw the woman who had stepped into his darkest night and lit a single candle. They spoke softly, not about money or tragedy, but about hope. About how sometimes the most extraordinary miracles don't come with flashing lights or headlines. They come at 2 a.m., in quiet diners, when one tired father is trying his best and one lonely heiress decides to care. And if this story moved you, if it reminded you that compassion still exists in this world, please like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe for more stories that restore faith in humanity. Your engagement helps these messages of hope reach further than you can imagine, because sometimes all it takes is one person noticing another in their lowest moment to change everything.